Welcome. Today we're going to talk about creating an automated flow in your WhatsApp chatbot. Prior to now, you've been able to connect your WhatsApp chatbot. You've been able to complete your entire setup. Once you're done with all those setup, you'll be sent to this page. So here we are. We have our chatbot set up. All right. Users can initiate conversation with this chatbot using this URL right here. So in this example, we're going to create or we're going to replicate a bank customer support system where a customer will reach out to the bank using WhatsApp, and there will be a list of options to select for basic support, and the customer can actually interact with those options and be able to get the support they need. So let's get to it. Before we start, I would like to explain a few things that you can see here. The welcome message is actually the first message the customer will receive on initiating the first conversation with the chatbot. All right. So here is where you want to add the necessary welcome informations and all that. Then we have what we call keywords, or they can also be called triggers. The standard reply is basically a standard reply, just the way it's said. If the customer has come into your chatbot, received the welcome message, and there is no other flow to take the customer through whatever support or whatever options you have, a standard reply is what the customer will obviously receive. So you can design your chatbot in a way that removes the standard reply and basically take a customer through the standard support system that you have set up. Now, chatbot system is not only limited to support. You can create a chatbot to initiate a sales process. For example, customer can actually go through your entire product catalog via the chatbot and choose the product they want to purchase and make payment within that same chatbot. So the options or the possibilities are endless. So it's quite limitless. So let's get into this. The other options we have here for keywords. So let's talk about creating a keyword. How do you create a keyword? So basically, we just click on the create a new trigger. And in this trigger, we want to use the word help, and we want to use the word support. So in the sense of it, when a customer says, oh, I need help with, this is the trigger that will be set up. Or I need support with. All right, so that's what we are targeting. We're targeting help and support. We click the enter key. Sorry, you have to do that one by one. Help, then support. So we have set up two keywords that we think the user will most likely use to begin a conversation as in relations to needing help or support. Okay, so what ignore identical keywords and prevent launching a flow more than once. Let's ignore identical keywords so that a customer will have to wait and get a response. So they won't have to say, I need help, I need help, I need help, and then multiple times, and then this trigger gets sent multiple times. So you can actually delay this. So let's use 5 minutes for the purpose of this test. And then you can have the option to after subscription or after keyword. So after subscription simply means that you can start this trigger immediately a user subscribes, right? That means immediately a user initiates a conversation with you, they automatically get subscribed, all right? But what we want is actually a keyword. So let's go ahead with keyword. We click on add, and you can see that we have the help and support keyword right here. And within the help and support keyword, we can now create a flow, all right? So let's go ahead and create a flow. But before we create a flow, let's take a look at our welcome message. All right. Now, our welcome message just basically have you subscribe to our chatbots, new posts are coming soon, blah, blah, blah. Here you can decide to tweak it a little bit and add some more, a better welcome message. But what we're targeting right now is customer comes to your chatbot, sends hello. Once they say hello, they immediately receive this welcome message. Then when they say, oh, I need help with my account, then this trigger right here, this flow, we actually get triggered. All right, so let's get into the flow. So basically, we'll create a flow. And the SendPost gives you this video to basically guide you on what to do. All right. So I have a few written out message that I just want to copy and paste into this message right here. So let's copy this and paste. So here we see hello praise. Let's remove my name. Let's use my first name. Okay. Welcome to GD Bank. Let's just call this Test Bank. Customer support platform. How may I assist you today? So you want to cancel card, restrict account, dispense error, and all these options, right? So click on apply. Let's go back to there. And what we want to do now is wait for the subscriber to respond. So we click check. So now in this options right here, you have multiple ways to collect, auto-validate a response from a customer. You can decide to use number. You can decide to use email, phone. So if a customer send you, drop their phone number, okay, you can take that phone number as a variable and use that phone number for something. Okay, so let's say you go chat with GTBank right now. GTBank can take your phone number and then use the API option. So you can see we have an API option right here. Use this API option to validate that you are a customer with their existing database. So this is a very technical area, but you know that there's possibilities with playing with the chatbot with your external database. All right, you can also use geolocation. You can find the customer's location, and then you can use that to personalize support or personalize services to them. So let's go straight into a basic, very straightforward and easy way. So basically, we want to target numbers because right here, we are requesting for users to specify a number corresponding to the support they need. So 1 is for cancel card, 2 is for restrict account, 3 is for dispense error, 4 is for complaint, 5 is for product inquiries. Okay, so let's create a variable. Okay, so we don't have a variable to track this. We'll just call this response, or let's just call this reply, or let's call this answer. Okay, so this is basically a variable. Okay, variable already exists. I'll just call it test answer. Just call answer. Okay, so now we have a variable that captures the response from the customer from this, and then we can make use of that. Okay, so we can decide to use quick replies, and quick replies are basically buttons below the chat that already give customers some, basically nudge them in that direction that these are the possible replies that we're expecting from you. So you can add up to 5 here. So let's go ahead with this basic reply. Let's click on apply. So what happens when the customer types 1? All right, let us see. Please enter a number from the options above. So if the customer enters a text or something else, it tells you to enter a number from the options above. Let's click on apply. And then what happens next? We're going to use the filter option. So the filter element basically goes through the response of a customer and then matches that response to the next action. So let's say let's a criteria. So the criteria are basically the variables. So we'll say test name equals to 1. All right, so let's just apply that condition. So if test name equals to 1, green, do something. If not, do something else. So let us do something about the not section. Okay. So what we want to happen is that if a customer enters the wrong reply, okay, we want them to be returned back to another menu. So what we do is basically create a new message and enter that option there. And let's just click on wait for a response. We use number again. And then we just copy from here. So you see the repeated action is actually me duplicating this so that we can actually have a different message we want to put here. So it's not going to be hello name again. It just tells you that you've not selected from the options. And then select variable, use test answer, and then we apply. So let's now go ahead and create a filter for, let's say 3 or half of these options right here. So we have, now there are many ways to go about the filter. or there are two basic ways to go about the filter. You can decide to filter all response or not, or you can decide to filter each response or not. So an example of filtering each response is basically you specifically saying, does this exist? If not, do this, okay? So basically it's a basic if else statement or if not statement that you can basically implement. So let's just go ahead. So add another segment right here. We'll say, we can say if test answer equals to 2, let's add another. Let's say if test answer equals 3. Okay, so you can use this to also say if any other thing. So let's say if day of the week, if sign up date, you can see the options are endless. So let's just do up to 3 for time. Apply, so you can see that. Now, this shows you that it is specifically asking for all of the following criteria. But we want to use any, all right, of this criteria. Now, what happens here is that if the person says either 1, 2, 3, it sends you to a specific response. But what we want to do is basically, if a customer says 1, do something. If a customer says 2, do something. And the visual representation will be that this green next flow basically will be available on each of the options, not boxing them into a simple option saying that if the customer selects any of these options. So what we want is if the customer selects each of the individual options. So you could see that, you will see the way it changes right now. So we'll come back here. If test answer equals to 2, we come back to add new condition. So you have multiple conditions, not a single condition, putting them into a box. So we click on apply, and then you see the difference. You see that instead of it to be if the customer selects any of these options, do something. Now we're focusing, or the results we're trying to get is if a customer says 1, do something. If a customer says 2, do something. If a customer says 3, do something. So let's pick up each of those items we want. So here you can actually use messages, all right, but it can get complicated as you go on. Like you can have like a very complicated chatbot flow. So what you can actually do is to create each of your chatbot responses into independent flows. So you can see this button that says flow, right? So I will show you how this works very soon. So now we have 3 messages, okay? And this first message will say 1 Naira. So your option 1 is for cancel a card, right? Okay. So option 1 is for cancel a card. Option 2 is for request account. Option 3 is for dispense error. Okay. Let's do this. Cancel it. So let's basically look for, I don't know what to put into any of these. So let's see. Let's see. Let's just come here and just look for some random text and says cancel a card. Kindly text *737 cancel card to cancel your card. All right, so this is basically a random options. You can write whatever it is you want to write here, all right? And then you have it. You click on apply, and it will say, if the person says 1, cancel card. So if the person says 2, what is 2? 2 basically says restrict account, all right? I'll just say your account has been restricted. Okay, so let's apply. Then option 3 is dispense error. Okay, so on option 3 here, we'll just say request processing. Or request received. So be pretty much creative with this. This is just purpose of example. Now, let's add requests. Okay, so let's say customer wants to request, and that is option 6. I'll just go the way to add new condition, criteria, test answer equals to 6, apply. Now you can see that in this 6, we have multiple options, and the option is, now mind you, I initially set this up for the not, so I will basically going to reorganize that. So Naira card request, dollar card request, card activation. So what I'll put it here and I'll connect 6 to that. So if not, all right, go back to the front. So we can decide to create not into multiple options, or we can decide to send not back to the first option. So if a user does not respond appropriately, it will send them back to the first menu to start all over again. Now, if they come to this other message here that says cancel request option, we can decide to now go ahead and create the same filter option right here, and then do the same criteria, on and on and on and on and on. So there's no limits to what you can do. So in a situation where your customer has, let's delete this. So in a situation where your customer has performed some actions, you want to move on with them, let's just use this action element. So this action element can now say, let's do something. All right. Let's say on this first option, let's say option 8 or option 0. Okay. So option 0 is speak to a human being, or talk to a human, or wait for human, or something like that. All right, so it's a chat with human. Okay, so what we want this to do is that if the chat with human, we want to open the chat. That means we want to start a conversation outside the chatbot. So basically the chatbot will stop working, to pause, then so that a human being can get in and intervene. So this is test answer equals to 0, apply, and then we can just come straight to this 0, and then we take it to an action. So you can see that we didn't take this to any of these messages. This is sent directly to an action, and the action is to open the chat, right? So this escalates the chat to an admin. So you can decide to now pause the chatbot flow for an hour. Okay, you can decide to do many other things. You can send a webhook. So a webhook is like a post, API request to an external server to do whatever you want to do and get data. So you can basically send the customer information out and then get data back. You can add variables, you can remove tags, you can all those options. So let's apply. So now here a human being gets involved, and admin gets a notification that someone needs help, and the chatbot has not been able to support the person, and the person is requesting help from the chatbot. So in a scenario where this person requests something, you can see that you can have all these messages to do the work for you. Okay, so more creativity is required here to make sense of your strategy. How do I want to go about all these communications and all that? So let me show you how the flow option works. Okay, and here we have a basic information. We have a basic chatbot flow. A customer comes to your chatbot, requests for help, gets these options, and gets to respond based on the options and receive all this information. Okay, so let's save this and let's move on to understanding how that chatbot works. So just save. So now we are here. Okay, now we're here. Let's go back to this welcome message. Okay, and I want to show you how the flow works. So now a customer is in this message, in this welcome message. What happens next? So like, let's say a customer comes to your chatbot for the first time and say hi, and the customer does not need help, does not need anything. What do you do? How do you nudge them into the right in the right direction? Right. So you can decide to put whatever it is we've done here. You can decide to do it directly here, or we can decide to connect the user to a flow. All right. So basically, what I will do is I will add a button, and I will just remove this or unsubscribe. Let me just add a button, and this button will basically tell the customer to begin conversation with customer support. So to our text, and I'll say you can, okay, let's just say we are here to support you. Okay, 247, click the button below to get support. Okay, so now this button that we have here, we had a button, I will say get support, or so let's say get help, for example. I'll click on add. So we have a button. So we want this button to get the user directly into this help or support section. All right. So, and this is, we already have this as a flow. Okay. Like I showed earlier, we created it as a trigger or as a keyword. And we can decide to reference this keyword anywhere within our chatbot. So we have this help support keyword right here, and here is it. So what we do is basically we will click on flow, drop it here. And then from this drop-down menu, we'll look for the flow we want to use. Okay, so let's see. We should have help here. Let's refresh. I think something is wrong. Let's refresh. Because I've had this page open before I saved here, so we need to refresh so that the changes will reflect here. All right, so let's click on flow, click on the drop down, and you can see help support right here. So now we click on help support. We come to this button that says get help. Let's apply this. We come to this button that says get help. We click, we drag, we drop. So now what happens now is that when a customer clicks on this button, it initiates or it begins this help flow, which is this, right? So now you can see that I can have multiple flows right here. Let's click on phone, and I can have multiple buttons, okay, that comes directly to this. So it can help me compact my design and be more organized. So what I can do now is I can create more trigger words or more keywords, and then they get saved as independent flows. And then I can link up flows within flows. For example, I can have another flow within this flow and then link up another flow. Let's just show you how it's done. So here, let me click on flow, click drag, and come here and enter a flow. You can see that pretty straightforward. I can now start a flow when a customer receives a message, and an entire flow can begin. So that way I can have a very branched out and complicated chatbot process without having to complicate each of these flows. All right, so now I can actually get a user to click on the button to get help, or I can actually just push a user to the help section by the virtue of them waiting. So I can use this continue options right here to start this flow. So the continue option simply sends the user directly from the welcome message. So welcome, and after a few seconds, they receive messages within this flow. But what we want now is that we want the customer to be able to initiate his conversation with us by clicking on the help button. All right, so what else can you do when a customer clicks on this help button? I can decide to say, you know what, let me perform an action, all right? And this action, I will add a tag. So you can add a tag that basically tells who this customer is, all right? So if the customer clicks on the help button, I will just say this customer is looking for help, all right? So I'll put the help tag. So you can decide to create tags for example, you have a Black Friday event. So you can say any customer that comes through this flow, all right, or clicks this button is interested in Black Friday. You know what, let's do that. This is, let me just call it Black Friday. Okay, so you can now go back to your audience, and then let me just click, let me add another button. I just say get Black Friday deals. Right, so we can now decide that once they click on that, I tag them, and once I'm done tagging them, I begin a Black Friday, let's just say sales special offer. So we have that sales special offer like Black Friday flow, and I can begin this Black Friday flow. So what happens here is that a tag is assigned to this user, and then this user is now sent to the Black Friday flow, which we now can go back to our audience list, and we can decide to segment all the users that are interested in Black Friday. If a user is interested in just support and comes to the site and click on support, let's delete this, and let's click on add an action. So I can add an action between here and say, you know what, let me add a tag, and this is just a customer looking for help, so that later on I can decide to go to my customer database within the chatbot and segment customers that are looking for help and check on them to see if they're able to, or if they can give free, if they can be able to give you a review and any of that. So it's a very creative process. If you just think that, how do I want my strategy to go on? And then you can put that together, and you have all the tools to make it happen. If there's a need for you to get data from external servers like your database or your API, you can always use the API request to do more advanced things within this. So let's click on save, and there you have it. Your chatbot is set up. You can actually now, let me see, you can come to this link, you can interact with this chatbot, and you can text 1, text 2, and the chatbot will work as expected. All right.